All right. Welcome to this week's episode of Step It Up with the Max and the Boss here
Hello.
on the Unger to the Max YouTube channel. A salute to you. We might change up the name of the show. We'll see. We might do something to play off, the fact that I'm the Max and he's the boss. We'll figure that.
Hello.
What is that? Your new gimmick? Just going, hello.
Every time you're gonna mention me as the boss, I'm just gonna go, hello.
What are you, like, from the Book of Mormon now? Because that's what they do. They go, ding dong, hello.
Love that movie.
Oh, you need to see the musical.
I'm pretty sure I have. I just don't remember.
Oh, good God. It was written by the people who produced South Park.
Oh.
It was hilarious.
Anything those two do is hilarious.
Yes. Imagine if they actually made a legit South Park musical.
Or a live action South Park movie. That would be great.
Okay. Either one of those would be fantastic. But we're not here. We're not here to talk about South Park and Book of Mormon and all that. We're here to talk sports because that's our thing. We're just going to briefly mention the new college football playoff rankings. The top four held as usual. It's going to be Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. But at number 5 is the 2-loss LSU Tigers. They jumped USC, and then from there,
I bet you're upset about that.
Ha ha, you're so funny. From there, Alabama's 7, Clemson is 8, Oregon is 9, Tennessee is 10. So that's your top 10. That's all we're gonna say about it because we just want to move on from college football, and well, the Browns haven't given us anything to talk about. So I am seriously considering changing this background over to the Cats.
A real team that can win real games.
Yes, which brings us to our first true segment of the show. So we're about a month into the NBA season so far, which right now there's a big game happening in Philadelphia. Ben Simmons is making his first true return to Philadelphia to play the 76ers since his whole, debacle when the 76ers were the number 1 seed in the 2021 NBA playoffs, and, well, they fell apart against Atlanta. That whole mess. And then last season getting traded to Philadelphia, or I'm sorry, getting traded to Brooklyn.
For James Harden.
Right. Which we NBA fans, we got cheated tonight because while Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving are all playing for the Nets, the 76ers do not have Joel Embiid. They don't have James Harden, and they don't have Tyrese Maxey.
I don't know who that last guy is, but Embiid and Harden, I don't think the game carries that much importance anymore without those two.
So Tyrese Maxey is a young, dynamic, upcoming guard for the 76ers who's got a lot of potential.
Is he a rookie?
No, he's been in the league for a couple years.
Oh.
But he's really developed into a very good player. I wouldn't say not all-star caliber player, but I wouldn't even say great player yet, but he's ascending. I'll say it like that.
Okay. So he's kind of feeling things out.
Right.
On his career. Sometimes it takes a while.
Right, but he's definitely improved each and every year he's been in the league. So, we don't get to see Ben Simmons when he drives to the lane facing Joel Embiid right at the rim. We get cheated out of that. Because if Joel Embiid had blocked Ben Simmons' shot, or if Ben Simmons had thrown down a monster dunk on him, either way, there would have been some serious like trash talking going on.
Oh yeah, I guarantee you Ben Simmons is getting a lot. He's for sure getting a lot of heat from the 76ers fan base.
Okay, so they were talking about this on First Take today, and I wanted to make sure I brought this up. So, you know how the Philadelphia fan base is. If you go do anything to piss them off, they will let you hear it. Like when Terrell Owens left the Eagles and went to their most hated rival in the Dallas Cowboys. We all know what that reaction was like.
Oh my God, it rivaled. What's like the biggest heel you could think of in wrestling?
Ooh, the biggest. I mean,
like in terms of how badly the crowd booed them.
ooh.
I'm thinking when Stone Cold had his heel run.
Yeah, I would say yes to that. To me it never felt like he really like connected with the fans really as a heel. But I understand what you're saying. Seth Rollins as a heel though was so
Oh my God. The heat he got. Oh my God.
So for my answer would be Seth. As a
I think you know what my answer is. Pre All Out Return MJF.
yes, I would agree with you. But we're not getting into wrestling. That'll be
Yeah.
later. That's later in the show. So if you're a wrestling fan or if you're a combat sports fan, stay tuned. But the point is, like when Philly turns against you, or if you turn against Philly, oh, you better be ready for a long, long, long night.
I mean, these guys, Philadelphia fans used to have a tradition where they booed Santa Claus
Yes.
at Eagles games.
By the way, shout out to fellow YouTuber and Philadelphia Eagles fan, Philly 500. Loved working with you when the Browns played the Eagles a couple years ago. We're definitely going to work together again when the Browns play the Eagles. That probably won't be until 2025 or 2024 if I'm doing the math right. Whatever. But anyway, so getting back to the original point. Do you think this will be the most visceral return in the history of pro sports? Do you think
I could think of a couple others. Certainly LeBron's first game at Quicken Loans Arena as a member of the Heat. Durant's return to OKC as a member of the Warriors certainly was.
T.O.'s return to Philly as a Cowboy.
Yeah. Brett Favre's first game in Green Bay as a Packer.
You mean
although I think as a Viking, yeah. Although I do think that they more just didn't care more than hated him because he was like he retired a Packer, then came back as a Jet, then retired again, then came back out of retirement.
Yeah,
it was a whole thing.
So with the whole LeBron thing, yeah, there was a lot of venom and whatnot because given
the decision,
given the way he left and
the whole jersey burnings that very night.
Right, yeah. But I think Stephen A. mentioned this on First Take today. It might have been more, not as much anger as it was like depression and sadness. Because think about it. When LeBron was here in Cleveland, whether it was his first time until 2010, I believe it was, or his second time, 2015 to 2018, the Cleveland economy went like this, right?
Yeah.
But when LeBron left, at least the first time, the Cleveland economy has gone like that. So like he was that impactful on the city of Cleveland like when he left that first time, it was like, okay, us as Cleveland sports fans, what do we have?
We have a mid-Indians team. The Browns are never reliable.
And the Monsters were just getting going.
They were, I believe, the year LeBron left was the first time they made the Calder Cup playoffs, and in the first round they blow a 3-1 lead to the Manitoba Moose.
Yes. So that's why I would say that's a little bit lower, but I don't disagree with what you're saying at all. I would definitely put Durant's return to Oklahoma City up there.
I remember watching that game, and I just remember weren't they like throwing stuff at the Warriors bench?
That part I don't remember, but I do remember like Durant and Russell Westbrook like getting into it and being extreme.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I also remember hearing a story about Durant's return, how he booked a room at a bar that he knew, or for like the Warriors and whatnot to go to, that he knew that was like Russell Westbrook's favorite room to kind of add fire to the flames.
Okay. So like I would definitely put that up there, but because like of the perception that Ben Simmons basically quit on the 76ers, he quit on the city of Philadelphia, he quit on the Philly sports fans and all that, I would say that it, for me personally, that puts it at the top of the list.
Well, we'll have to wait and see the compare crowd reactions from those 3 NBA returns to see which one is truly the most like, we hate you, never show up here again,
right,
type deal.
That's why I think Ben Simmons is at the top, because once the series played out against Atlanta, and we know how Game 7 went for Ben Simmons against the Hawks, I think that's what really sealed his fate, where it was like, okay, Ben Simmons never put on a 76ers jersey again.
Right. I mean, he wasn't much special to begin with, but I feel like he was good. He just didn't, devote himself to playing.
Yeah. But again, like we talked about, like why the Durant return to Oklahoma City was so great. It's because him and Russell Westbrook were like nose to nose and getting right in each other's faces and just like getting so chippy, right?
Yeah.
Which, like, that's why I feel like we as NBA fans are getting completely like cheated tonight, because we don't get to see what happens if Ben Simmons goes for a dunk and Joel Embiid is at the rim trying to block it. We don't get to see We don't get to see Ben Simmons down in a defensive stance trying to guard James Harden. The two guys that were traded for each other.
And we don't get to see Durant versus Harden again.
Right.
Because they used to be teammates twice now. They were teammates in Oklahoma City. I remember when James Harden returned to Oklahoma City as a member of the Houston Rockets, him and Durant and even Westbrook were like kind of throwing ribs at each other.
Yeah. And like, Harden was in Brooklyn with Durant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that dynamic would have been great. And we don't get to see, James Harden against Kyrie Irving. I think that would have been a great matchup too.
Those two have always had great matchups. When Kyrie was with the Cavs and James Harden with the Rockets. I just remember watching a lot of those Cavs versus Rockets matchups just to see Harden versus Kyrie, because the two of them have always been great against each other, kind of like elevating the other, and almost in a like one-up sort of way. It's like, hey, you shot a step back 3, I'll shoot a step back 3.
Yeah, it's almost like anything you can do, I can do better type thing.
Exactly.
Right. It's so you're saying there's a little bit of gamesmanship there.
Yeah. No, for sure. With specifically with those two, but I feel like the NBA always kind of had that dynamic with their, especially with like their guards, because I mean, basically any game that the Warriors are involved with devolves into a 3-point contest quickly,
Yes.
especially if Steph and Clay are on the court.
Yes. Which I feel like there that sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. But like I'll tell you this. If Harden and Embiid and Tyrese Maxey for that matter were healthy, I would have had you over for this game tonight. I was like,
Oh yeah, no, I would have loved to come over for that.
oh yeah, because it would have been like must see TV. So I'm hoping that when playoff season rolls around, we get a 7-game series between the Brooklyn Nets and Philadelphia 76ers. Everybody's healthy. The series goes the full 7 games. And like
Ooh,
what I would love to add to the storylines, game 7 is in Philadelphia. Okay? Game is tied like 90-90 in the final minute. That's probably not practical with how like high scoring, games can get in the NBA,
yeah.
but just roll with me for this for a minute, all right? Just go with me on this. Let's say it's game 7, fourth quarter, final minute, tied 90-90. Ben Simmons has the ball, and this game is in Philly.
Oh, and you know what? I'm gonna throw a little extra stakes on here. Trip to the finals on the line. It's the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh my God. If we somehow get that scenario, where's my popcorn? I need to see that.
Yeah, especially if late in the game Ben Simmons hits the game winner.
That's what I'm saying.
In the exact same way Kawhi Leonard did it in 2019 as a member of the Raptors.
Oh my God. I don't think anybody will hit that type of shot again. Like that
Only Kawhi could do something like that.
like that shot that Kawhi hit against the 76ers, that's like a I don't want to say a 1 in a million, but that's like a 1 in 1,000 type shot.
Like, you're never going to be guaranteed to make that, but if you do, you are probably one of the luckiest people on earth.
Oh yeah. And that season for the Raptors, everything just fell their way. Like when they met the Warriors in the finals, Kevin Durant was not healthy. Klay Thompson was not healthy. So,
and we all know that Steph can't carry a team to a championship on his own.
He kind of did this year or this.
He had Klay and Draymond.
Yeah, but it was mostly Steph in the finals.
I mean, Wiggins was great. Jordan Poole. Yeah, he had a supporting cast.
Yeah, I'll give you that, but I feel like it was mostly Steph.
Well, I mean, he won Finals MVP, which
for the first
time.
Yep.
I mean, like, that's why a lot of people put him outside their top 10s and like all-time players. It's because it took him 4 tries to get a Finals MVP.
Right.
I mean, he lost out to Andre Iguodala in 2015.
Right.
And then Kevin Durant twice, which is why I say that if Kevin Durant didn't join the Warriors, the Cavs would have won. Actually, if the Cavs won in 2015 as well, we'd have a three-peat.
Yeah, I would say more likely than not.
Because I think Kyrie still would leave after 2017. Even though he's a 3-time champion.
It's It's always fun to play that what if game type of thing.
Oh, I've played that what if game so many times. I actually, in that scenario, if Durant has to leave the Thunder, I actually have him going home to Texas to the Spurs.
Well, okay, so you have him going back to where he played college, not his actual home, because he's from DC. So,
Oh, that's right. I keep thinking he's from Texas, but if that's the case, then I do have him going home and joining the Wizards.
ooh, the pair with Bradley Beal and John Wall. That would have been
Yeah.
an interesting big three. I'm not sure how that would have worked because all three of them do need the ball to do something.
I mean, John Wall can space out the floor a bit and pass it off to the other guys. He's not entirely selfish.
Well, that's true. I feel like his
Where
his strengths though are when he has the ball in his hands.
where is John Wall now, anyways?
He's with the Clippers.
Oh, that's right. He replaced Pat Bev,
Right, who's now with the Lakers.
that traitor. Went to the wrong side of LA.
Well, no, because Pat Bev, after the Clippers, he went to Minnesota.
That's right.
And then he got traded to Utah. And then he got traded to the Lakers. All right.
Huh.
Speaking of the Lakers and whatnot, by the way, right now, the 76ers are winning 60-54.
Oh, lol Nets. Lol Nets.
I have no idea how the 76ers are winning. Their starters tonight: PJ Tucker, Tobias Harris, Montrezl Harrell, Shaq Milton, and DeAnthony Melton.
I only know 3 of those guys, and I think Tobias Harris is the reason they're winning.
Tobias Harris only has 6 points.
That's the reason why they're winning, is because he's selfless. He's passing the ball to guys.
He has 0 assists.
Damn it.
Their leading scorer right now is George Niang with 11 points.
You mean Gorui Dieng?
No,
Gorui?
George Niang.
Oh, so it's not Gorui Dieng. What happened to him? He was in the league for a good minute.
Oh, you're talking about Gorgie Jang, or however you say it.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to him. But we're talking about the NBA, and we mentioned like games and stuff. So we're gonna play a game right now. Contender or pretender. Each of us will give
this game.
Each of us will give each other 3 teams. We'll go one at a time, and we have to each decide whether they're contenders or pretenders. We're gonna leave the Milwaukee Bucks and Boston Celtics out of this discussion because both of them are clearly contenders. Boston is 13-4 at the top of the Eastern Conference, and Milwaukee is 12-4, half a game behind the Celtics. So clearly both of them are contenders. So we're going to be talking about like teams in the middle of each conference. Or we might talk about the Utah Jazz, who right now lead the Western Conference. So, like, we're going to talk about like teams 3 through 10, basically, because 1 through 6, you're in the playoffs. 7, 8, 9, 10, you're in the play-in tournament. So we're just going to focus on those teams. Okay, so you want to go first?
Sure. Trying to think of who's in the hunt. I'll start off with an easy one. Charlotte
Hornets. Oh, they're a pretender. They're near the bottom of the Eastern Conference at 4-14.
Oh wow! I thought they were a bit higher.
No, they're bad.
Eh. I mean, I guess that was kind of always their thing. They had like what, one magical year, and what was that, 2021?
No, I don't even remember.
It was one of the years of the play-in tournament because I remember them winning the play-in tournament.
No, they've never won the play-in tournament. Actually,
Oh,
they've
huh.
they've always, to put it quite frankly, they've always shit the bed when it comes to the play-in tournament.
That makes sense. I mean, it is the Hornets. They've never done anything of note
All right.
except for have the worst record in NBA history, but that was when they were the Bobcats.
Okay. So right now, the Sacramento Kings are in 5th place in the Western Conference
I knew you were gonna give me this one.
at
They are
9.
pretenders.
You're saying the Kings are pretenders. Why?
Based on well, what is their roster right now? Do they have any all-stars?
De'Aaron Fox. They have Domantas Sabonis. They've got. I'll pull up their roster on the ESPN app. They've got Harrison Barnes. They've got. Let's see. Like I said, they've got De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis. They've got Kevin Herter, the sharpshooter from the Hawks. They actually have Matthew Dellavedova. That's where
I thought he retired.
I don't know. Delly's with the Kings now. They've got Davion Mitchell. They've got Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, the rookie, who they drafted 5th overall, I believe it was. So they have some nice players.
I mean, is it enough to carry them come late season? Like, say De'Aaron Fox goes down, what now?
Right. Yeah. It's God, with the Kings, it's hard because they haven't been to the playoffs since 2006. And right now, like I said, they'd be in the actual playoffs, not
Right.
the play-in tournament. So I'm still gonna say they're contenders. But when I say contenders, I don't. That doesn't necessarily mean they're like a championship contender. We're just saying like
Playoff contenders.
right or right. So I think they might end up falling a little bit into the play-in tournament, but I think they could if De'Aaron Fox stays healthy and the rest of their roster stays relatively healthy. I think they could get out of the play-in tournament and make the actual playoffs.
All right. For my next one, I'm going to give you the team that the Cavs knocked off on Sunday, the Miami Heat.
All right, let's see where the Heat are in the standings at the moment. The Miami Heat are 7-11, so they're outside of the play-in tournament right now.
Because they've been missing Jimmy Butler. He's out with injury, I guess.
Yeah, they're decimated by injury, which I think that's part
Tyler
of the
Herro.
You're right, Tyler Hero. Yep. They made
Udonis Haslam is still in the league for some reason.
Yeah. Miami was the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs last year.
That's why I brought him up, even though they're on the outside looking in. It's like, is this really the same Miami team from last year? No.
Right. No, but they still have Kyle Lowry. They still have Jimmy Butler. They still have Bam Adebayo.
Yep.
They still have Eric Spoelstra as their head coach.
For some reason, I thought it was Pat Riley.
He's the owner, general manager, something like that.
Oh, that would make much more sense.
Yeah.
Although, wasn't he the coach when LeBron was in town?
No, Spoelstra was still the head coach when LeBron was there.
Huh.
But he was the head coach when Miami won their first championship in 2006.
That's what. Yeah, with Shaq Wade.
Yes. So with the way Miami has been, I still say they're contenders. I just think right now they're going through a little bit of a slump, given that they're riddled by injuries and all that. But I I don't think Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, given like the Miami Heat culture and all that, I don't think they'll let this team like fall out of contention.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. They are for sure contenders. They just need to get healthy and get out of this slump they're in, and they'll be back on track in no time. Do I think they'll end up the first seed by the time playoff time comes? Nah, not really. But like a third or fourth seed,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They're one of those like teams that are basically guaranteed to make the playoffs as long as they breathe.
Right. I don't know about guaranteed because there are some other teams hanging around that could make some noise possibly. Which brings me to my next team, also from the Eastern Conference. They're currently they're currently fourth in the East right now. They're from the Central Division. They call Indianapolis home. Yeah, the Indiana Pacers. They're
Oh God.
they're
You're throwing out some pretty tough ones over here. The Pacers. What does their roster look like?
so let's see.
Jesus.
They they still have Miles Turner.
All
They
right.
they've got. I'm trying to see what other like notable players they have. They have Buddy Hield. They've got Tyrese Halliburton, who's a nice young player. Let's see. I'm trying to. Yeah, like I said, they've got Miles Turner. Um, Daniel Tice is also on their roster. I'm trying to remember who they drafted. Um, but that's what I've got for the Pacers in terms of their roster and stuff. So, what do you think? Contender or pretender?
I think that it can go either way. They can if they like if their guys really come together and keep doing what they're doing, they can easily be contenders, but they could also easily fall out of contention once some of the teams that are sort of fringe contenders, once they start making their noise, then Indiana could possibly kind of get lost in the shuffle and fall out of contention.
So with the sixth pick, they drafted Benedict Mathurin. I think that's how you say it. So so I don't know how he's been because I don't watch Pacers games. But yeah. So who's your next team?
This is my final team. The one that I've been wanting to give you. This is gonna lead up to part of our next section. The number one seed in the Western Conference right now, the Utah Jazz.
Which, by the way, I am actually going to Salt Lake City in January to see Donovan Mitchell's return to Utah when the Cavaliers play the Jazz.
That'll be fun.
Which actually goes against what I like to do when I go to these other teams' arenas, because I like to be able to integrate myself into the home team's crowd and root for the home team. So generally, I don't like to see the Cavaliers on the road.
But this was too good of an opportunity to pass up.
Correct. It'll be the second time, actually, I've seen the Cavs on the road. The first time was in the Palace of Auburn Hills against Detroit.
Was this with LeBron or post LeBron?
With LeBron.
Okay.
Yes. But anyway, so yeah, you're right. The Utah Jazz somehow, despite trading away Donovan Mitchell to the Cavaliers
and Rudy Gobert to the Timberwolves,
which we'll get to even though that game was like a week ago, I still want to talk about Timberwolves Cavaliers. I still want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But right now, Utah is 12-7. But I'm looking at the rest of the Western Conference. You have the Phoenix Suns. You've got the Denver Nuggets, the Los Angeles Clippers, New Orleans. I think the Pelicans are going to be a pesky team. I don't think they were a one-year wonder. You got Memphis, Dallas, Minnesota's around there. I mean, Golden State, yeah, they're struggling right now, but it's Steph, it's Klay Thompson, it's Draymond. They'll figure it out. They have a championship reputation. I think this is just a hot start for Utah. I think they'll eventually come back down to earth. So I'm going to say pretender for the Jazz.
I was going to say the same thing. I believe that this is just a hot start and that eventually they're going to come back down to earth. And again, it was the same thing with the Indiana Pacers. It's like, yeah, they're off to a hot start, but what about all of the other like contenders that are kind of like on the outside looking in because of early struggle? It's kind of hanging in limbo. Once they start making their noise, Utah is one of those teams that's probably going to get lost in the shuffle and get kind of knocked down a few ranks.
Right. So I think we've each given our 3, but I want to give you one bonus one, all right? Just behind the Indiana Pacers at 10-7 in our nation's capital, the Washington Wizards. They still have Bradley Beal.
That's what I was. That's why I'm thinking is like, I mean, Bradley Beal is he's not anything like too special on his own, but give him a solid cast of role players and he can make something.
So what do you think? Are the Wizards contenders or pretenders?
I think it's another case of they're contenders for now, but once those other teams start making their noise, well, they're probably going to get lost in the shuffle. I don't think they'll be out of the play-in, but I think they'll be out of the playoffs.
Yeah. I'm going to say, I hear what you're saying, but I'm still going to say pretender. Because I just don't know if they have enough around Bradley Beal to like sustain this.
Yeah, and I definitely agree there. I just think that like with 10 teams, you know, they have a statistically higher chance of making the play-in tournament than being, completely kicked out of the dance.
That's true. I'll give you that. Okay, so we'll talk about the game you went to on Sunday between the Cavaliers and the Heat. But I want to talk about last Sunday's game, the one we went to against Minnesota. So, like, as you know, I was really looking forward to going to that game. Not even because it was the debut of our City Edition jerseys in our City Edition court, which when we ultimately decided to go to that game, I had no idea that was going to be the case. But
that's like the third time I went to a City Edition debut for the Cavs.
But anyway, the main reason I was looking forward to that game and was like really interested in going is because the prospect of seeing D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards go against Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, and then you had Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert going against Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Like, those are two like great backcourt and frontcourt matchups, right?
Yeah. Or at least it should have been.
Yeah, that's what it should have been. And I was also thinking about like, okay, these are two young, dynamic teams who have playoff aspirations and expect to not just get to the playoffs, but actually like do some damage when they get to the playoffs. Maybe win a round, maybe win 2 rounds. Probably not get to the NBA finals, but maybe.
Although that would be one hell of a finals.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about that too. Like maybe in a couple of years it could be an NBA Finals matchup, which I agree that would be one hell of a Finals matchup. But actually, on the note of that, think about this. Hypothetically, let's say Seattle were to be awarded an NBA team via expansion. All right.
Ooh, yep.
That would mean somebody in the West would have to move to the Eastern Conference, right? Most likely.
I believe so, because there would be there would kind of be a, I mean, either way, giving a 31st franchise is gonna
imbalance
it either way. I think that if that is the case, I know exactly what team you're thinking you want to move to the East, but there's a team closer to the East that I don't know why the hell they're. Well, I know why they were in the West, because the place they originally came from, the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yes. So I actually wrote an article about this for Fansite. There were 3 teams I listed of moving to the East. Memphis, as you mentioned, Minnesota, and there's a 3rd team. They're down. I'll give you. Let me see if you can guess it. There's a 3rd team. So you got Memphis, Minnesota. Who do you think the 3rd team is?
Okay. How close to the East are? How close to what is the nearest Eastern Conference team?
The nearest Eastern Conference team to them, if I'm doing the geography right, that would be Atlanta.
Okay. Are they in a state with another team?
No.
Okay, so they're completely on their own.
Correct.
Oh boy.
I know you can do this.
All right. Have they won a championship recently?
No.
Have they? You know what? I completely forgot that they are kind of close to the East, the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yes.
I was about to say, it's like, because I was thinking what you were thinking was like, all right, if they're in a state with 3 other teams, it's probably one of the 3 Texas teams. And I'm thinking like the closest one to Atlanta is probably Dallas.
No, but it's New Orleans. I know New Orleans would be the least likely. Memphis would probably be the most likely. But
right. But I mean, you see my reasoning for why Memphis is in the West, because of their original home, Vancouver, being on the west coast of Canada.
Right. But I feel like if there was another Western Conference team added, whether it's Seattle or Kansas City, whoever.
Or Vegas.
I
mean, we're most likely going to get Vegas and Seattle, so I guess we could probably pick up Minnesota and Memphis in the East. And it wouldn't be like the NHL where the Arizona Coyotes had to move to a division that they're nowhere close to.
Right, in the Central. But think about that for a second. Let's just say, hypothetically, Seattle and Vegas both get expansion teams, sending Minnesota and Memphis to the East. That would be so much fun to see.
Now the East is stacked, because if you look at it, you've got Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Miami, Memphis, Cleveland,
Boston.
Atlanta, Boston, Minnesota,
Chicago,
Milwaukee.
Yes.
That's literally your 10 teams right there.
Right. But think about that. If, let's say, in that scenario, the Minnesota Timberwolves move to our division, the Central Division, 4 times a year, you would get to see D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert go against Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen.
And the closer we get to playoff time, the higher stakes those matches become, because now we're trying to figure out, all right, what seed are we? What seed are they?
Exactly.
Could we jump them or could they jump us with a win?
Right. And think about this. Maybe one of those matchups decides who wins the division.
That's another one.
I mean,
And imagine the playoff series.
yes. Or like go to Memphis for a minute. That means you get to see Darius
Garland match up with Ja Morant.
Yes, not to dismiss the rest of Memphis or the rest of Cleveland, but if that was the case, we're just going to focus on Ja Morant and Darius Garland.
It's a high-profile point guard versus a high-profile, I guess technically combo guard. I've seen a lot of people put Ja at the 2.
Yeah. So either one of those, I would be thrilled with. And even in the third scenario, which is least likely to happen, if New Orleans were to be moved to the East, you would get CJ McCollum against Donovan Mitchell. You would get Zion against Evan Mobley. Those aren't bad matchups.
And you get Brandon, I believe his name's Brandon
Ingram.
Brandon Ingram against either Mobley or Jared Allen. I'm fine with that matchup.
Brandon Ingram plays more of the 3, so
really, he's a 7-footer.
No, he's not. He's not even close to 7 foot.
I thought he was tall.
No.
I guess it's just because he's, lanky, very skinny.
He's 6'8".
He's the same height as LeBron.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know why I thought he was taller.
Jonas Valanciunas is 7 foot.
Well, I knew that.
Anyway, so
because he's a center.
Right. So yes, again, New Orleans is the least likely to happen, but I feel like they have to be in that scenario. They have to be thrown into the.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're close enough to Florida. They're like right next to Florida, and Florida has 2 teams that are both in the East.
Right, and they're close to Miami or to Atlanta.
Right.
Right. So, all right, let's talk about the game you went to on Sunday. So, wait, let me get this straight. This is not a drill. Isaac Okoro actually scored double digits.
I believe he scored 13 or 15 on the night.
What?
He had 9 alone in the first quarter. And no, it was 5 actually, sorry.
Okoro had 13 points that night.
Yeah, he had 13 points. What's even a bigger storyline is that Cedi Osman, I believe, was our leading scorer with 20.
Yes. He was not the leading scorer though. Darius Garland had 25.
Oh, I was wondering why they were doing the post-game interview on Cedi. I guess it was because he was leading the final unit, which gave us the debut of someone we've been wanting to see since he was drafted, Isaiah Mobley, and he came out to one of the biggest pops in Cleveland history.
Okay, I don't know about one of the biggest pops in Cleveland history. I think you might be stretching the truth a little bit.
It was a pretty big pop. Like, when they said, and now checked into the game for your Cleveland Cavaliers, number 15, Isaiah Mobley. Everyone went nuts.
Okay, I think that was partially because, like, they were taking out, like, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and, like, the other guys.
Well, no, those guys were already out. We were on our second unit when our third unit came in.
Oh, okay.
So they were taking out,
okay.
They were taking out, like, Karis LeVert, and those guys.
Okay, now I get what you're saying. But what was your... So, what is it? Like, that only you can be there for Isaac Okoro to score double digits and I can't?
Well, I mean, he didn't score double digits when I was there for that Thunder game with John and Matt last year. I don't even think he was playing.
I don't know. I mean, the next night against the Hawks, Okoro only scored. Okoro went back to what he usually does, and he only scored 4 points.
Ah, jeez. Wait, did we beat Atlanta or no?
Yes, 114 to 102.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I
Which, by the way, I am planning on going to the Cavs game against the 76ers on Wednesday, November 30th. Because I want to see the Cavs play the Sixers.
Is there an open slot available?
We can talk about that post show. We can talk about
Okay.
that. We can talk about that post
show. I'm always down for a Cavs game. You know me.
Yes. And I especially want to go against the 76ers because I know Philly swept us in the regular season series last year. I know. And I know, like, the rest of the group gave me crap about this, and they basically said, like, no, Josh, you're talking out of your ass. But in my opinion, even though the 76ers won all 4 games against the Cavs last year, the margins of victory got smaller and smaller each game, and to me, it felt like you all right over there?
Yeah.
It felt like the animosity and the intensity went up each game. So, to me, it feels like a rivalry is developing between the 76ers and the Cavaliers.
Oh, it's always been there. It's always kind of been on the slow burn. They're in our division, aren't they?
No.
Oh. Why did I think they were? I don't know. I guess because they're like one state over.
Yeah, I wish they were, but the Central Division is us, Milwaukee, Detroit, Indiana, Chicago.
Yeah. That was actually the first ever Cavs game I went to was Cavs versus 76ers. It was the debut of the first ever City Edition jerseys for the Cavs, those nice silver ones that say the land on them. We got blown out.
Yeah.
But I got a Kyle Korver bobblehead.
Anyway, so what do you think? Do you agree that you think that there's a rivalry developing between the Cavaliers and 76ers after last season?
I mean, certainly. We'd have to see how the games play out this year, but I think that there can be a rivalry brewing. I mean, you could say that about any team in the East and any team in the East. The Eastern Conference is probably the most competitive conference because if you look at the last 3 seasons, the same teams, well, some of the same teams have been making the playoffs. Like, you've got your mainstays like your Bostons, your Philadelphias, your Atlantas, your Miamis, Milwaukee. But there have been Brooklyn, but there's been a push for a lot of other diverse teams like Charlotte, Cleveland, recently making the play-in tournament.
Toronto,
they're on the backswing after, winning their NBA championship.
Right.
I don't think Toronto has a WNBA team. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think Toronto is in that market.
No. WNBA is very small. But, so that was a lot of NBA talk, but you can tell how much we love talking basketball and stuff. And we're going to keep doing the contenders, pretender stuff. Not for every show, because like our opinions about certain teams might not change every week, but
and we might do it for other sports like the NHL, the MLB once that season starts up next year.
And probably not NFL because we're not going to talk a lot of football on this show because some of us
there's not a whole lot to talk about.
Right. Some of us are experiencing football hangover, or it's just that flat out the Browns suck.
Yep.
Yeah.
But now to transition from one football to another, as it is the World Cup the only other time besides the Olympics where the world collectively comes together to watch sports and have fun.
Yes. So I'm not as familiar with like English football as I am with American football, so you'll have to forgive me on that one. I'm trying to get into it. I
Yeah.
I for sure am. I'm not gonna say I'm a fan of any team in the Premier League, but I'm familiar with everybody like Chelsea, Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool,
Uh,
Manchester City.
Speaking of Manchester United, some news as Cristiano
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo decided he's done. He is leaving Manchester United. Where he's going, I can't say. He might head back to La Liga in Spain. He might. A lot of people are linking him to Bayern Munich now that Robert Lewandowski has left to, or I guess he's leaving to go to La Liga and join Messi's old team, FC Barcelona.
Okay. What I do know though is there was a big upset as Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about that because Argentina is one of the teams I like to root for because Messi is my favorite soccer player in the world. I know it sounds a little bit like, oh, you're a casual. No, I just think that what the guy has done for the sport of soccer, getting it to the mainstream, I think that what he has done to elevate the sport as a whole makes it worthy of, someone like me coming into the sport being like, hey, I know Messi. I like the guy. I'm going to start rooting for him wherever he goes.
Right. So yeah, I know that was a big upset. I also know that the U.S. tied Wales yesterday.
And they have to play England, I believe, tomorrow or tonight.
I think it's actually on Black Friday.
Oh, yeah, you know what? You're right. It is on Friday.
I'm pretty sure they play Iran tomorrow.
That might make sense. I think we could beat Iran unless they want to play spoiler too.
Which
Also, hats off to Qatar for being the first ever host team to lose the opening match.
oh right, they lost to Ecuador.
Yep.
So I'm gonna keep following the World Cup. I want to get into soccer.
And you might have a great opportunity to, because it was announced, I believe, this morning that the upstart MLS expansion group, the MLS Next, is getting a team in Cleveland. Now, okay. Cleveland already has an outdoor soccer team, the known as Cleveland SC. I'm wearing their kit right here. So, what does this mean that we're getting another soccer team, another outdoor soccer team in Cleveland?
And just so everybody's aware, the reason the boss, I said it.
Hello. Sorry, my mind just blanked.
Okay, anyway, the reason he said that is because we also have an indoor soccer team called the Cleveland Crunch. At Cleveland SC, I would describe them in terms of like, AAA, AA, single A for like minor league baseball. I would describe Cleveland SC as like single A or double A.
Single A, because double A would be the I forget what it's called, but it's the league that FC Cincinnati came from. They've moved down to double A so that MLS could take over triple A. MLS Next.
So MLS Next is like the triple A. So that's what Cleveland is getting. Cleveland is most likely not going to get an actual MLS team.
No, because there are already 2 teams in Ohio, in Columbus and Cincinnati, which this is an interesting point. So all of the MLS Next franchises are affiliates of MLS franchises. The Crew already have an affiliate in the Crew 2. They're literally called the Columbus Crew 2. I am not joking. Does that mean that this Cleveland MLS Next team is going to be affiliated with FC Cincinnati?
Most likely, that would make sense.
Jeez. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of FC Cincinnati, not because I'm a Crew fan, but because they are trash.
All right. Again, I'm still trying to get into MLS. I guess if I had to choose a team, it would be Columbus, but I'm not.
That's kind of like the closest team to us, and they're one of the original founding teams of the MLS.
But again, I say that like I'm a casual fan. I watched MLS Cup when NYFC won it last year. I watched a little bit of MLS Cup this year, which LAFC won against the Philadelphia Union.
You missed it 2 years ago when the Crew were on top of the world.
No,
against Seattle of all teams.
No, I actually did watch that. I did watch.
Columbus was without their 2 best players because of COVID and shut out the defending MLS Cup champions 3-0 because of an unknown rookie named Lucas Zalarian.
I did watch a couple other MLS Cups between Seattle and Toronto, which both of those were absolutely fantastic games.
I'm gonna date myself a little bit here. The first ever MLS Cup final I watched was 2008 between the Columbus Crew and the New York Red Bulls.
Oh, I thought that one was against Portland.
No, that one was 2015. No, this was the first MLS Cup final in the history of the Columbus Crew. They beat the New York Red Bulls. I believe it was 2-1 to win their first MLS Cup.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's all the English football we're going to talk about. We'll keep talking World Cup more as it continues on and all that.
But now we transition from the pitch to the squared circle.
Oh, you don't want to go to the ice rink?
Not this time. There hasn't been any big hockey news lately.
Okay, so then yes, we'll go to the squared circle. So the reason I have my hashtag as full games is because I'm combining. Actually, I'm not just combining 2 pay-per-views. I'm combining 2 competing wrestling companies. I'm combining AEW and WWE. Last week, we had AEW Full Gear. This week, we have WWE Survivor Series War Games.
Yeah, it had that Willie Regal flair to it.
Yes.
Good touch.
Which, this is the first year War Games is on the main roster.
Right, we've had NXT War Games in the past.
Right.
And I believe ECW ran War Games at one point.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's the AEW. The AEW equivalent would be their Blood and Guts match.
Which is in a steel cage, double-sided ring.
Correct. It's steel cage, double-sided ring. There's an area right in the middle between the 2 rings, which is where a lot of just craziness happens. But
we're gonna start off with Full Gear, and let's start off with actually the first match of I guess we'll go with a rundown of the matches of Full Gear and what we thought of them.
I don't know if we'll do every single matches.
Just the ones that we thought were noteworthy to talk about. So let's start off with Jungle Boy versus Luchasaurus in a steel cage.
So this was a boy from the jungle taking on a dinosaur, as Simon Miller likes to say. Shout out to What Culture Wrestling.
Yep.
I need to watch Simon Miller's Raw ups and downs for today.
I actually just watched it before doing this.
I've watched like bits and pieces of it, but I haven't watched the full video yet.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, it was what you expected. It was brutal. It was violent. Christian Cage got involved to the shock of absolutely nobody.
And then he got kicked out.
Yes.
But the one spot I really want to talk about is the spot that you pointed out. It was either you or Colin that pointed out when Jungle Boy went to Tombstone Luchasaurus. It looked like Luchasaurus was helping him by lifting his own legs up.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was. I don't know if they could tell in the arena, but watching the pay-per-view on TV, I'm like, okay, Luchasaurus is 100% helping him do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, how else are you gonna lift that guy? Lift Luchasaurus? He's a 60. He's I don't know how much he weighs, but he's a dinosaur.
Yes,
Gotta weigh a lot of pounds. All right, and now let's get to the next match, which ties into my hashtag.
Oh my god.
The Death Triangle versus the Elite.
That, oh my god. I don't even know how to describe this match because they literally did every single wrestling move you can think of. They probably even did moves that you didn't think were even possible.
Ray Phoenix once again continues to prove that he is not from this planet. The Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks continue to show that if you put the four of them in a ring, they will make sure that they're not leaving without a 5-star rating.
And Kenny Omega and Pac can absolutely hold their own. Oh
of course.
This match was just pure magic.
And it ends in the way nobody expected it to end, with Ray Phoenix finally giving in to Pac's demands, using the hammer on Kenny Omega as he was getting ready, the One-Winged Angel, and shockingly winning it, setting up I believe the second ever it's a 7-match series in wrestling history,
right,
for the titles.
Which I would expect the Elite are going to ultimately win the series.
Yes, but I'm guessing they want to prolong it as to give the Death Triangle a fair and long title reign, because even though the titles were originally won by the Elite, you cannot deny that as Trios Tag Champions, the Death Triangle have been just fantastic.
It's hard to say because, it felt like given everything with the all-out situation and all that, Kenny Omega and the Bucks never really got a fair chance.
They will eventually get their reign. I'm just saying, I'm guessing the reason the Elite wanted the Death Triangle to win and all that 7-match series is so that the Death Triangle could continue to prove that, they can hold their own as champions. I mean, even before this, they had a match against the Dark Order that was just amazing.
Oh, yeah. And on the Dynamite before Full Gear, Death Triangle actually defended their trios titles against Top Flight, Dante Martin, and Darius Martin, as well as AR Fox. And
of course, there was the couple matches they had against the Best Friends with Orange Cassidy.
Yes. So they've had fantastic matches.
And
I think part of the reason also they're doing this 7-match series is because they want to prolong the storyline of Pac just going crazier and crazier
with the hammer, and eventually Penta's gonna have to use it because Phoenix used it.
Right. Either that or Phoenix and Penta are gonna realize that that Pac has just gone completely off the rails, and that'll be the end of Death Triangle.
Which is sad because the Death Triangle was, other than the Elite, Death Triangle was the first trio in AEW.
Something like that is going to happen. I'm not saying that Death Triangle is going to break up, but some something's going to happen with Death Triangle at the end of this.
Yes.
Whether that's they break up because Pac has just gone like ballistic, or Penta and Phoenix join him and go heel.
Which I wouldn't mind them going heel. That'd be really interesting. We could bring back Penta Oscuro or Penta Dark.
Right. So.
But I think that this 7-match series could also prolong something else to get even bigger crowd reaction, and here's how I'm gonna book it. At the end of match 7, the Elite are holding up their trios titles. Death Triangle is kind of arguing, being like, we should have won that. And all of a sudden, the lights go completely black.
Oh, don't do this.
And when they come back on, everyone in the ring is just on their back, brutalized, and standing over them, holding the trios titles, Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, Brody King. The house is back.
Okay, I thought you were going to say something about a certain other wrestler involved in the All Out.
No, I'm saving him. I was saving him for another fantasy book involving MJF.
All right.
But
we're not going to talk about the next match because that was just a snooze fest.
We're not going to talk about that match. We're going to talk about
the Ring of Honor Fatal 4-Way.
Which is a match that, because of how insane All Out went after that match, I kind of forgot about it.
You mean Full Gear?
Full Gear, yes. I kind of forgot about that match when I did my ratings.
Yeah, but that match was great because it basically started out as a tornado tag team match.
With the 2 members of the JAS going after the 2 members of what I believe is going to be formerly known as the Blackpool Combat Club.
Yes, I think Blackpool Combat Club is breaking apart. Although
I don't think they'll disband fully. I think someone's gonna still side with Slick Willie Regal.
No, because William Regal sided with MJF in the main event. Remember?
I mean, but there is one person who is still kind of loyal to William Regal, and that's Bryan Danielson.
I can't see Danielson doing that.
It's either that or it's going to be Wheeler Yuta, who's just oblivious to the whole thing, and that's going to set up the Danielson Wheeler Yuta thing, with Danielson trying to get Wheeler Yuta to see that William Regal is not a good person.
Oh, no. I cannot. Wheeler Yuta will not team with MJF. They had a feud.
Oh, yeah, the feud.
Yeah,
I forgot about that feud.
Right.
Well, I mean, how else will you set up Wheeler Yuta versus Bryan Danielson?
maybe that's what really triggers the end of Blackpool Combat Club, is like Wheeler Yuta and Bryan Danielson feuding.
That is true.
Because, like, for a while, it looked like Daniel, for a couple weeks, it looked like they were teasing that Danielson and Wheeler Yuta were going to feud. Because, like, Wheeler was like, why were you going after Daniel Garcia? Did you not see what I was doing? And it, like, then the following week they had, like, a whole backstage thing. And I'm like, yes, I want to see Wheeler Yuta go against Bryan Danielson.
And then Danielson went right back after Jericho for the Ring of Honor title after he won it from Claudio.
Right, which I was annoyed about. Even though I loved the Fatal 4-Way, don't get me wrong, it was great. But I would have preferred to have seen Danielson go against Wheeler Yuta in a one-on-one contest at Full Gear. That would have been my personal preference.
I would have liked to see that. Maybe put like a stipulation on there, or maybe have like I almost call him Cesaro. Maybe have Claudio Castagnoli try to break the 2 of them up, kind of like how William Regal did with Mox and Danielson at their match at Revolution.
You, do you think? Okay, you know how like WWE has had the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view in the past, right? Where they
Yeah.
where they've had like 2 or 3 Hell in a Cell matches. Which
Do you think like Blood and Guts will become a pay-per-view?
I don't think so. I think that's just gonna stay a TV special. Um which by the way, WWE's actually getting rid of Hell in a Cell pay-per-views. Like
I know, but I mean they're gonna like save the match for like some specific feuds.
right. But here's why I'm asking that. Do you think that AEW could have gotten away with, because you're talking about like adding a stipulation to Danielson versus Wheeler Yuta. What if they made that match a steel cage and done 2 steel cage matches at Full Gear? What do you think?
I would not have minded that, but I think there could be something more interesting and particularly relating to um like say like if they have that match, it's a ladder match and the winner gets to stay in the Blackpool Combat Club.
Well, if you're doing a ladder match, there's gotta be like something hanging at the top that you like pull down, whether that's a championship or like a
It's some sort of contract that says like it's a contract that both of them had signed saying that loser has to leave the Blackpool Combat Club.
Okay, I could see that.
And we'd get it on the going home show at Dynamite. We'd get both of them signing the contract. And since that episode of Dynamite was in New Jersey, we then close out Dynamite with that contract being slowly lifted to the top of the ring.
Okay. Interesting.
And that would be and then that Yuta versus Danielson would then open Full Gear.
Interesting. I like it. Maybe they'll do that at Revolution.
I do like me some good fantasy booking.
Which they confirmed that Revolution's gonna be at Chase Center, with home of the Golden State Warriors, on March 5th, I believe it is.
Oh, we might, because those are the 2 dates of the Monsters Penguins thing.
Right.
We're definitely going to the game on the 4th.
Right.
Because that's the outdoor game. That is a set lock. That's a done deal as soon as we get confirmation of who's going so we can get the correct amount of tickets.
Right. Which I think we'll root for the Monsters that game because it's the first ever outdoor
game, and we never know when one's going to come back.
Right. And then maybe the next day we root for the Penguins. But anyway.
If we do that instead of AEW Revolution, because the AEW pay-per-view seemed to be more popular with our group than Monsters games, sadly.
Right. But anyway, that's personal stuff. Wow,
Yeah.
We've already been going for an hour 20. Hey, we can just talk and talk.
That's what happens.
Hell, but
we'll go an hour 30 then, if that's gonna.
Yeah, that's.
But now we shift our focus from one wrestling promotion to the other, and now we have to talk about Survivor Series War Games.
Right. So
I had a little Vince McMahon on that one.
So with War Games, so the way Survivor Series used to work is it was brand supremacy. So you had Raw versus SmackDown. So you had the Intercontinental Champion face the United States Champion.
Or in 2019, it was Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT.
Correct. But that's generally how it works. Which that's not a thing anymore. Which I love that. So now it's no longer is it battle for brand supremacy. It's just a regular premium live event. Oh, I'm sorry, pay-per-view, premium live event. Make up your freaking mind. Whatever. So for the men's War Games match, it's the Bloodline, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, and the honorary Uso, who has been feeling pretty Uso, Sami Zayn.
Yep.
Going
Or
against,
as Roman Reigns wants to call him, Sammy Uso.
yes, going against the Brawling Brutes, Sheamus, Butch, who is really just Pete Dunne. I don't know why he hasn't been given his actual name back. Ridge Holland, and then you've also got the additions of Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre, which Drew McIntyre being added into this makes no sense for two reasons. One, it's just like they seemingly dropped his feud against Karrion Kross for no reason whatsoever freaking ever. And two, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre have had like 2 or 3 feuds over the past couple of years where they just wanted to absolutely destroy each other.
But I do have a counterpoint to that, and that is they're friends in real life.
I know.
And they're tag partners, former tag partners at least.
I know, but still, like, does Triple H think like us as wrestling fans are just stupid and we're gonna forget that Drew and Sheamus have fallen out and they've had like matches against each other and they feuded?
I'm guessing the reason why they put those two together is that at this point, Drew and Sheamus are both baby faces.
Yes, but like,
and they're both feuding with the Bloodline because Drew McIntyre got screwed over at Clash at the Castle,
right,
and he wants his revenge.
But that's the thing. Like, after Clash at the Castle, Drew McIntyre went into a feud with Karrion Kross, so he was no longer feuding with the Bloodline.
But I still think he didn't get his proper revenge for what happened at Clash at the Castle. I think that's what he's going for here. Is he wants his revenge not only on Roman, but on the one who actually screwed him over, Solo Sikoa.
Here's my thing. I don't disagree with putting Drew McIntyre into War Games. The whole thing just doesn't add up. Does that make sense?
I see what you mean. I do see what you mean. But at the same time, given how this year's went, it could make sense. And we all know why Kevin Owens is there. It's to set up, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn reuniting.
And eventually taking the tag team titles from the Usos.
Yeah.
I know you're a New Day fan, so you're not happy about this, but the Usos are now the longest reigning tag team champions in WWE history.
The New Day will find some way to get that record back.
I doubt it. But, okay, so Roman Reigns has had the Universal Championship and now the WWE Champion. Basically, he's been the champion for over 2 years. Who do you think will be the one to ultimately take the titles off of Roman?
I have several options for this. Given that the New Day is also feuding with the Bloodline, you could somehow put Xavier Woods in there, have like this whole storyline of, Roman not really not liking the New Day and wanting to go after Xavier Woods' King of the Ring crown, and it's like, all right, I'll put my King of the Ring crown on the line if you put your titles on the line, and we have that feud, and eventually it builds up to the point where Roman gives Xavier Woods a final kind of like ultimatum thing. It's like, all right, I'm putting my titles on the line. If you lose, the New Day are disbanded and can never work on the same show again. And we get this feel-good moment of Xavier Woods lifting the WWE and Universal titles, Big E and Kofi coming to hug him and celebrate. It's just a feel-good moment,
Yeah. The problem is, like, at Survivor Series last year, we basically already did the Bloodline against the New Day.
But that's a feud that you can never you could never kind of you could keep recycling it and it can always be fresh, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that one just I I
Because given
like
the Usos and the New Day are two of they are clearly consensusly two of the greatest tag teams in WWE history outside of certain rated R superstar and someone we do not like to talk about.
By the way, quick update: 8 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. Philadelphia 96, Brooklyn 87.
Lol Nets, lol Nets.
If the 76ers beat the Nets without James Harden and without Joel Embiid, when the Nets have Kevin Durant, or I almost said Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. No, when
Those
they,
two are never reuniting. I'm sorry, those two are never reuniting on the same team.
yeah, I didn't mean to say Russell Westbrook. I meant to say when the Nets have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Ben Simmons, something's wrong. Also,
Yeah,
quick update in a big game actually between the Sacramento Kings and Memphis Grizzlies, because we were talking about the Kings and Grizzlies earlier.
yeah.
Right now it is 64-63 Kings.
Is Ja playing?
Yes, I believe so. Um,
Oh man.
John Morant, yeah, he's got 10 points right now.
Okay, okay.
De'Aaron Fox, he's got 15.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so close game. Um, but it's only the third quarter. There's still a lot of time to go.
Yeah.
Um,
But another option for dethroning Roman, trying to or getting us back to wrestling and WWE. Another option it could be Cody Rhodes rectifying the mistake he made in AEW by not letting himself fight for the title.
which as soon as he did that stipulation, I had a feeling his time in AEW was going to be shaky because it's like, okay, you did this to yourself. Like, you're never going to be able to challenge for the world championship again.
I mean, but he still had some good runs as the TNT champion, although him taking it from Brody Lee prematurely was kind of not a good idea. And that's when fans turned on him. His feud with Malachi Black was great.
Yeah, I think fans sided with Malachi Black more though. But anyway, we're going back to AEW. So let's stay with WWE.
Yep.
So Cody Rhodes is the overwhelming favorite to dethrone Roman. And maybe this is because of his time in AEW. I don't know, but I just don't like Cody Rhodes. I'm not
He's honestly he's one of the most overrated wrestlers right now. Like
yeah,
everyone talks about him like, oh yeah, he's been this thing for years. Why did WWE release him in the first place?
right.
If he's so great.
See, with his feud, like we all knew he was returning to face Seth at WrestleMania this past
Yeah.
year, and their feud was great. But I hated that Cody Rhodes won all 3 matches against Seth. The way I would have booked it is like I would have still had Cody return to face Seth at WrestleMania, but I would have had Seth win that match and spoil Cody's return. Okay.
All right.
And then just have Seth become the ultimate like heel and just annoy the hell out of Cody and be like, do his classic laugh and all that, like, I ruined your return to WWE on the grandest stage of them all. And he just keeps poking and prodding and poking and prodding. And Cody goes, okay, dude, just shut up. I want a rematch with you at WrestleMania Backlash. Okay? And Cody gets his revenge and he wins that match. That sets up their Hell in a Cell match.
Does does Seth still do the Dusty Rhodes attire? Kind of like to
Yeah.
get under.
Yes.
But the one thing is, how did Cody tear that pec? Was that at Backlash?
I don't. That part I'm not sure of.
Because he came out of Hell in a Cell looking gnarly as hell with that.
Yes. I don't know who I would have had win that Hell in a Cell match because you like.
Well, I know you're a huge Seth Rollins fan.
Yes, which on that note, actually, similar to that, I'm really annoyed with what WWE is doing with Matt Riddle. Like his feud with Seth Rollins was fantastic. Like I don't know if you saw the promos where like it
Well, yeah, they were taunting each other's families and whatnot.
right, where it's like, they're like they said to both of them, like, okay, we're off the air. And Seth goes, hey Riddle, you still there? And they just got after each other and all that. Like their feud was fantastic.
And now they have Riddle being a glorified drummer boy for Elias.
Correct. And I'm like, what happened? Like I was actually starting to like Matt Riddle during this feud with Seth because it felt like Riddle was taking on this new tough, or I shouldn't say tough, but he was taking on this new intensity and becoming edgier. Not Adam Copeland, like he was taking on this edgier personality where like
he stopped being a joke or Randy Orton's second in command.
right, like he stopped being Randy Orton's bitch.
They never had a proper feud to establish that yet.
Right. But all that. And I'm like, okay, I want to see this version of Matt Riddle like feud with somebody else. And it's just like meh.
No. He's playing the drums for Elias, and you will take it and you will like it. Triple H is the greatest creative mind we've ever had.
I'm just like, okay, personally, I would have loved to have seen Matt Riddle feud with Austin Theory. Because, like, Austin Theory, he's an annoying prick. Like, I think that would have been good to see.
Well, then again, he's also going more serious because he hates Seth Rollins, he hates Bobby Lashley, he hates Mustafa Ali.
Mustafa Ali just keeps losing and losing and losing. Which
he got murdered by Bobby Lashley.
Right. Which we're getting a triple threat match for the U.S. title at War Games between Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, and Austin Theory. We'll see if it compares to the triple threat match for the TNT Championship. We are actually over the hour and a half mark. So,
jeez, that's just how much we could talk.
Yes.
About what we love to talk about.
Right. So I think we're gonna wrap things up. But before we go, make sure you give that like button a big Uso splash.
And don't forget to Powerbomb Symphony that subscribe button.
Oh, I was going to say give the subscribe button a skull crushing finale.
We could do that one with a notification bell to turn on notifications.
Oh, yeah. Give the notification bell a skull crushing finale. I actually haven't even mentioned the notification bell in any of my previous videos.
I forget about it sometimes, even on my live streams.
Yeah, but we'll see you next week for another episode of Step It Up, which we might change the name in the future. We might not. We'll see. But
and head on over to my channel where I actually might stream myself. I might do a little Cold War stream just to show off a gun I finally got to Golden Viper after all this time.
Nice.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Eat lots of turkey and side dishes, and watch some good football.
Or football.
Yes, we have Michigan, Ohio State this weekend with huge implications.
OH. Don't you dare leave me hanging, Josh.
Nope. Nope.
Darn you.
Nope. I will say this, though. I'm not rooting for Michigan. I am staying neutral in this game.
I just root for Ohio State because I'm from Ohio. Ohio is my state.
Okay. But as a college football fan, I am going to freaking love this game.
I mean, I think any college football fan would love this game, even if someone who hates both teams, like say a Wisconsin fan or Northwestern fan or even an Iowa fan.
I mean, the implications of this game are huge.
Well, yeah,
the
winner literally goes to the Big Ten championship.
Yep, the winner of this game wins the Big Ten East Division, goes to the Big Ten championship, and then most likely goes to the college football playoff. The loser of this game very well could be left out in the cold and snow. So, but again, that's all we're going to say on it. And again, before we go, I know we said this once already, but we're going to say it again. Give that notification bell a skull-crushing finale.
Powerbomb Symphony that subscribe button, and don't forget to make sure that like button is lost in the woods.
No, you give that like button a big Uso splash.
I'd rather have it be Xavier Woods' finisher because the New Day is the best.
We the ones, baby. We the ones.
New Day rocks. New Day rocks.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty oozy.
Said yeah. Oh wait, wrong tag team.
Yeah, good try.
Oh, but all right. But before we go, I kind of do want to ask you this. All right, fatal 4-way tag match: the New Day, the Usos, the Young Bucks, and the Lucha Bros. Who are you taking realistically?
Oh, good God. That match would just be pure, insanity.
I think Dave Meltzer better have to double his star ratings because that's going all 10, baby. That's going 10 stars.
Okay. The Elite, the Young Bucks, the Usos, the Lucha Brothers, and the New Day.
So I'm talking Kofi and Xavier.
Okay.
New Day.
Kofi and Xavier, New Day. Well, yeah, because Big E's out of it right now.
Oh, but, I mean, if he were healthy, I mean, realistically, you could just go in there and throw everyone around.
Okay. Oh, man. First of all, no disrespect to the Lucha Brothers or the New Day, but I would love to see a standard tag team between the Usos and the Young Bucks.
Oh, no, I'd love to see that. I just threw, because those are right now the 4 hottest tag teams in wrestling. You know?
Yeah.
Alongside FTR and Brawling Brutes, really.
Yes. But anyway, focusing on those 4, I'm torn between the Usos and the Young Bucks.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually kind of played this one out in my mind a bit, and I'm going with the surprise pick. I'm going with the Lucha Brothers. I think at some point in this match, Pac is gonna slip one of the Lucha Bros the hammer, and it's gonna.
Can you see the score? Philadelphia.
What the hell?
Philadelphia is up 113 to 99.
Oh my God! Nets, just give up.
Kyrie Irving has 23. Kevin Durant has 20. Ben Simmons has 11.
Wait, Ben Simmons can score? What the hell?
So for the Sixers, Tobias Harris has 24.
Sounds about right.
You've got Shake Milton. He's got 16. DeAnthony Melton. He's got 22. George Niang has 16. And Paul Reed, never heard of him. He's got 17.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So think about this. Without Joel Embiid, without James Harden, the 76ers are going to beat the Brooklyn Nets.
Lol, Nets.
and and the fact that basically everybody at that game was just going to see basically what the reaction to Ben Simmons was like, because they didn't have Joel Embiid or James Harden. So it's like, okay, we have no other reason to go see the 76ers. And the Sixers do that.
It just goes to show just how good some of these Eastern Conference teams are, that they can win without their top players.
Okay, but to answer your original question before we go, Usos, Young Bucks, Lucha Brothers, New Day. I gotta give it, as much as I love the Young Bucks, I'm gonna go with Jimmy and Jay.
Really?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's going to be a four-way super kick between the Usos and the Young Bucks because that's their whole thing.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
I mean, we kind of saw what that would look like at Full Gear when the Lucha Bros and Young Bucks did it during that trios match.
Okay, we'll do a Forbidden Door pay-per-view later between WWE and AEW. But
I gotta rewrite mine because of, well, actually, I don't think I gotta rewrite mine because I had no titles on the line in the first place.
So
in my revised draft, because I'm thinking like titles are constantly changing. By the time we do this, we might have an entirely new subset of champions.
Right. But either way, I can tell you one match I'm doing, and this, no matter what championships, I'm not changing it. Young Bucks against the Usos. I'm doing that match.
It's funny because I have that exact match on my card.
And even though there could be, like, I might have some bigger matches, given how crazy and insane that match would be, I might consider making that a main event.
I think my biggest main event is Kenny Omega my night one main event is Kenny Omega, Seth Rollins.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that later, but we're gonna wrap things up.
We're gonna wrap things up. We ran a little long.
A little long?
Yeah, a little. Just a smidge.